The other thing we know is that longer laterals will obviously make the well bigger, and so this makes the gas wells appear to produce more. So Southwestern Energy have been increasing the amount of gas that is coming out of their wells, but they've been doing this by drilling longer wells, longer laterals. But again, Powers Associates looked at the Fayetteville Shale and at Southwestern Energy. And the reason I mentioned them is because a number of Tamboran's board have previously worked for this company. And if you look at the facts and figures, they were claiming that a well in its lifetime would you get 2.4 billion cubic feet of gas from that well. Right? The EUR is the estimated ultimate reserve or return. But Powers almost cuts that in half. He says that for the new wells that Southwestern Energy are going to drill, that would be an optimistic return. Right? Tamboran, well, they have given us a figure, but we don't believe it. It's 1.9 billion cubic feet of gas for a shale well, and if you use the same analogy, you're almost cutting that in half. The other problem is that figures presented by shale gas companies never take into account the job losses from other industries. They never take into account environmental costs, unless it's something that directly affects them, like having to erect a fence to keep animals out or something like that. They never look at long-term, and their figures for long-term validity are only estimates. That's what I'm saying, that there's been no full life cycle analysis of this industry whatsoever. So wherever we see data to date, it points to this overestimation all the time. But what do we know about our own industries? Agriculture, we're at approximately 8 billion euros in exports in the Republic of Ireland and approximately 2 billion exports in Northern Ireland annually. And crucially, it's expected to grow. The world needs food. The Chinese in particular are changing their diet. The market is there. The other thing we know is that Mr. Moorman has said that the gas will be sold at market value rates to Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. We're not going to get this gas any cheaper than Russia's gas or Norway's gas. And in actual fact, if you think about it, we shouldn't, because it costs more to produce shale gas, because you're drilling more wells, you're using more land. So it costs more to create the gas here than it does to get gas from Norway or Russia, because that's conventional gas. It comes up out of the ground, big field. Okay, it has to be piped all the way across Europe, but cost-wise, wells, shale gas costs more. I mean, think about all the diesel you put in the lorries. Right? Tamboran wishes to control the services in the area. So employee spending in they're going to encourage employees to spend in their establishments. Think about it. They won't want you going downtown and spending your money in the pub. If they've got a canteen and stuff, they probably don't want you going into the pub. Most of these gas workers or oil rig workers work in places where you don't get alcohol. So it's probably not a big deal to them not to go to the pub. They'd live as hermits. Work, on, off, 4 weeks, 6 weeks on, go back, buy the Porsche, buy whatever, and come back. You think I'm joking about the Porsche. There's a few boys in Enniskillen there working in North Sea rigs, and that's exactly it. Right? Many employees will be sending money home. If I'm an immigrant, and I'm a blowback, right? Then one of the things you do think of, you have a connection to your place where you grew up. You might think, I want to come back there someday. And you make reparation for that. You prepare for that. You don't bung all your money into something overseas, or you might keep a little nest egg or something so that you'll be able to make the move back. How do we value health, clean air, clean water, healthy livestock, non-polluted land? That's a question we have to solve as part of our argument against this. Tourism. It's low impact here. Walking, biking, fishing, hiking, boating, hunting. Everything that's done, it's done to try and keep the environment the way it is. And those words are there. The other thing is we actually have a hell of a lot of history and culture. And I put genealogy in there because you've family links. Because a lot of the land here has been in the same family for generations. And that's like, we're talking before 1916, we're talking back into like land, back into, I can trace 8 generations of Collins and Glenfarne on the same plot of land. You can go back to Griffith's valuation, you can go back even further, 1850. So, what will happen if gas companies force families off the land? And, as I say, a lot of this is incompatible with shale gas fracking. I just said, recent thing, I heard that Mr. Varadkar, he announced €500,000 for cycling tracks in Donegal. In Glenfarne, a proposed investment in cycling venture has been cancelled due to fracking. And the reason I know this is because I do a bit of cycling. And, you will be looking at investment for a hostel and investment in 1 or 2 people employed to look after gangs of cyclists coming around the area. You'd be looking at a spend, cyclists staying for a week, 2 weeks. This is hurting us already. People aren't investing in the area already. There's anecdotal evidence that people aren't finishing houses that might have planning permission. It's already hurting. 728 jobs are underpinned by angling tourism alone in Fermanagh in 2005. Well, that's your 600 shale gas jobs, plus a few more. And the fracking zone will border the cross-border geopark. I mean, if you could think of a worse place to put and to frack for gas, you could probably go, I can't think of a worse place. Water, caves. And look at the slogans. We're going to have to change some of those, aren't we? Fermanagh welcomes you naturally. That's what greets you as you come into Fermanagh. And Love Leitrim. And there's not an awful lot in it for us. That, unfortunately, is the bottom line. That's the end.